You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, good morning, LA. Good morning, wherever you are in the world. That's the one thing I love about web radio is the fact that we're broadcasting around the world right now. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias. You are tuning into LA40 on LA Talk Radio. This is the show where we gab with you about all things life after 40. Because there is life after 40. You know, in this youth-obsessed culture that we live in, we are so often fed the line that as we age, we have to slow down, or we should just get ready to move over. And that if we haven't hit it out of the park by 25, well, you know, you're never going to. And part of why I'm here is to help kill that message and really remind people that the ages of 0 to 39, chapter 1, as I like to call it, is really about learning, discovering, loving, losing. But it's the ages of 40 to 80. It's that second chapter that really is going to give us the opportunity to knock it out of the park. We have a call coming in right now, and we're going to get to our first guest. Good morning. This is LA Talk Radio.
Hello, it's Cynthia Kersey.
Hi, Cynthia. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Terrific. I'm going to take a minute and introduce you to our guests, and then we're going to delve into our discussion today. So for those of you that are watching, you can see that I'm in studio alone today. For those of you on audio, you wouldn't have known that, but I just told you. And today's episode is going to be focused on the concept of adding value. How do you add value to the world? Now, I know for me, you don't wake up in the morning and think, how am I going to add value? But there always is, you know, if we're all honest with ourselves, something that sort of taps at our door, an incessant woodpecker, knock, 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 that gets us thinking, am I doing enough with my life? Am I really living and adding value and service to society? Should I be adding value and service to society? And so today, we're going to be joined by two really exciting guests who have done just that. On the phone with us now, as you heard, is Cynthia Kersey. Now, Cynthia, first of all, thank you for calling in, Cynthia. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to be with you.
Terrific. Cynthia is an author, a public speaker, and the founder of the Unstoppable Foundation. We're going to get to Cynthia in just a moment, but I also want to tease you with our second guest who's going to be calling in just after this discussion with Cynthia. His name is IBK Spaceshipboi. IBK Spaceshipboi. No, that is not his real name. But he is a Nigerian music producer who is starting a new project called WorldRadio. He is going to be really tackling the negative stereotypes that societies around the world have about artists coming from some of the developing countries, about artists from a different race, from a different culture, and he's going to tie into the discussion we're having with Cynthia right now. So do stay tuned for that. If nothing else, you can stay tuned to find out what IBK Spaceshipboi's real name is. Boy. But Cynthia, we have you on the phone now, and your Unstoppable Foundation is of such importance, and your personal story of how it came to be and the fact that you conceived the idea of the Unstoppable Foundation after the age of 40 is such a perfect fit for the radio station here today. What I'd love for you to do is talk to us a little bit about what the foundation does, and also talk to us about how you came to start the foundation, if you would.
Well, thank you, Katerina. Katerina, what a beautiful name.
It's Greek. Thank you.
So, you know, it's interesting. Yeah, I was well over 40. I actually was turning 50.
Woohoo!
Yes. And but let me just kind of step back for a second.
Sure.
When you talk about adding value, I love that concept because, you know, I think that's really always been my come from. It's like, really, how can I be of service?
Right.
Is another way of saying that. And when on my first book years ago, gosh, almost two decades ago now, I quit my job at a corporate career, sales career, very successful. downsize my life, cash in my entire life savings to live a life of more meaning and purpose. And I wrote my first book, Unstoppable.
Can I pause you just there for one moment, Cynthia, because I'm curious, because this happened to me. That was almost 20 years ago, like you said, and I don't want to give away your age, but you were probably on that cusp of 40-ish, right? Where you start really asking yourself, what am I doing with my life? Okay,
I was in my 30s. I'm 58 right now, so
perfect.
I was 30. Yeah, I was in my late 30s.
Okay.
Late 30s.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And, really wanting to do something more meaningful. The beginning of my career had been pretty much about myself and my family and, earning money and getting more established.
And doing what society tells you should do, right? Hitting all those check boxes.
Exactly, right. Kind of the corner office and achieving a certain level of success. And yet I wasn't passionate about my life.
Right.
And so as I said before, I quit my job, cashed my entire life savings, downsized my life to write my first book called Unstoppable. So I'm living my purpose. 18 months after my book comes out, my 20-year marriage ended.
Oh, my.
Right.
Ouch.
So, I call my mentor, who was the founder of Habitat for Humanity, Millard Fuller. Mm-hmm. And I told him what had happened, and he had just gotten back from Nepal, and he said, why don't you build a house for a family in need? He said, when you have a great pain in your life, you need a greater purpose.
Oh, what fabulous advice that is.
Isn't
wow.
it?
Wow.
And then, as I said, he got back from Nepal. Why don't you build a house for a family in need? And as I thought about what he said, I thought, how many houses would I need to build
to get over
offset
this pain
in my life?
Wow.
And it wasn't until I got to the number 100 houses that felt bigger than my pain.
Oh, my gosh.
And here I am, a brand new author living on a $14.95 book. I'm a single mom. I don't know, I've never raised money. I don't know people that have a lot of money.
Right.
I had to raise $200,000 to build these 100 homes. But I had a purpose that was bigger than my pain. And so that year, as I'm out there speaking about being unstoppable and really healing and grieving, the thought of these families that didn't have a simple, decent place to live really motivated me to continue. And I ended up raising that $200,000. I took 20 people to Nepal the following Christmas over the holidays, and we helped build the first 3 of the 100 homes. And that experience changed my life. It was my first experience. Talk about adding value.
Wow, absolutely. Puts it in
giving.
perspective,
And what I
it?
thought
Yes.
when I started it, that, I was doing something great for them, and I had never anticipated how it would change my life.
And how did it change your life?
Well, it gave me a purpose. It gave me meaning. It got my mind off of my little self.
Right.
What's interesting is, so not only that, because I'm more purpose-driven than just to make money. It's like for the sake of what? But what's interesting is I actually made more money that year than I had at Sprint selling a six-figure I was making a six-figure income. I sold a multi-million-dollar contract.
You were doing well corporately, right? Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I experienced the law of giving and receiving, so it's like, the scriptures say, give and it shall be given unto you. And so I really got that at a very, a deep level, and it changed the trajectory of my career. So, with writing my next book and everything that I did, I started incorporating ways to give, ways to, as you call it, add value, ways to be of service. And my second book came out in 2005, Unstoppable Women.
Okay.
And I was looking for that next project. And I
your
was
first
invited
book was
to go to Kenya to attend this rural African women conference.
Okay.
And the only thing I knew about this conference was that women were coming from all over East Africa to share their stories. And I just felt compelled, like I needed to go. And I went over there, and for 5 days I heard story after story of women determined to find solutions to very significant challenges they were experiencing. Their children would get malaria, or 1 out of 5 of their children were dying of waterborne illnesses before the age of 5.
We are so sheltered here, Cynthia, with respect
please.
to what, and we complain about the fact that McDonald's ran out of Coke, and that is not a problem. That is not a problem.
It's a first world problem. I would say 99% of the problems, quote unquote, we experience are first world problems. They're not real problems.
Right.
We're not worried if our child gets sick. We take the child to the doctor. If we have clean water. We have even people who are really struggling financially in the United States have access to basic services. And the number one hope and challenge and concern and dream they had was, how do we get our children an education? Okay. Because without it, nothing will change. And so as I was leaving that conference, the women came together, they held my hand, and they said, please don't forget us. And I'm thinking, what could I possibly do? This problem is too big, right? I was overwhelmed.
You're one person. What are you going to do, right?
What am I? Exactly. I'm one person. And I promised them I would do something, and I thought, okay, one of the first things that I could do is turn my birthday, it was an upcoming birthday,
Your 50th
into
birthday.
a fundraiser, which I did.
Okay.
And that night I charged people $100 to come. I invited them to give more at the party.
Come to my birthday party, and I'm going to charge you money to show up. That's funny.
That's right.
How did that go over?
Right. And we raised $80,000 that night, and people thanked me for the opportunity to give. Like, it was the most inspiring birthday party they'd ever attended. And that night really was an impetus. I thought, oh my God, if I could do that in one night with not even that much work. Right. What if I actually put my mind to this? So I started to do some research about how do you really solve this issue in developing countries.
The issue of education.
Exactly. And I found out something that really shocked me. There are well-meaning, well-intended organizations building schools in developing countries, and in 3 to 5 years, those schools are empty.
Why?
That's what I asked. And I started learning and discovering that you can build a school, but if you're not providing access to clean water, guess what? Girls aren't in school. They're fetching water. If you're not providing access to health care and medical treatment when children get sick, they're not in school. If you're not providing a meal, many of the children are malnourished, and that would be the only meal they get that day. And if you're not providing a way for the parents to earn an income, they can't keep their kids in school. They need to use their children to help them
to support
survive.
The family, right. So
that's right.
So you don't just build a school, you build a village.
That's right. That's exactly it. A sustainable, holistic model in which they own it, they participate, and within 5 years of implementation. So basically I got, okay, this is it, right? We just can't build a school. We need to do all 5 of these core holistic solutions. So we partnered with someone on the ground that had the experience and the relationships, and we started implementing a model called Sponsor a Village.
And that was to tackle education, but also clean water, nutrition, health care, and income for the parents, I suppose.
That's right. It's not charity, it's sustainability. Wow. And that is the key. Our vision was that every child gets access to an education. Right. And so initially I thought, great, we'll just build a whole bunch of schools. But it's not effective. So it's like, okay, when we go to a community, we're partnering and providing everything that community needs to be able for the children to be healthy, stay in school, and the parents have the tools to lift themselves out of poverty.
Now, you're working in mostly sub-Saharan Africa, so Kenya, Liberia, Uganda, but I know you're also starting this project up in India. How's that going?
That's correct, yes. Well, we have a partner that's also in India and has, again, what's critical about, I think, when you're trying to do these types of projects, and so many people want to do work in the world, and I think partnerships are key.
Okay.
I don't think the world needs another nonprofit. I think there's like 1 million that started every single year, and most of them never raise $100,000, so they never do what their purpose is to do. So for me, partnerships is the way that we really can change the world.
So who are some of the people you've partnered with, for example?
Well, all sorts of people, but our primary implementing partner, there's two ways of doing it. We have an implementing partner, which is wecharity.org. So they're our implementing partner, but then we partner with other people like Proctor Gallagher Institute, Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, Bill Harris, Fabienne Fredrickson. I've got a big long list of people who want to do things in the world, but they don't want to fly over there. They don't want to build a team over there. They don't want to do all of the things to build a nonprofit. So they partner with us, right? And then when they donate, for example, to sponsor a village, and what that means is to bring these 5 pillars to approximately 70 children and their families for a year. It's $25,000. So we have many people, 70 people that donate $1 a day for a year.
Wow. 70 people to donate $1 a day for a year.
For a year.
Can sustain a village.
And that's 25 grand. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's powerful, and they love it, and it really impacts their business. Bob Proctor, he said supporting the Unstoppable Foundation has changed their company. It's made them better people. It's given them a bigger purpose, and he's a purposeful man. That man understands.
You came on my radar via Bob and the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and they're doing so many phenomenal things that I don't doubt that they're in partnership with you right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're committed at a very deep level, and they said it's really changed their business. It's just changed everything for them. And I believe that to be true. Giving has changed everything for me. I love what you said, Katerina, because it's like it is all about giving value. It's all about being of service. How can I contribute? How can I live a life of meaning? And the way that we do that is through being of service. And we have to be, about something that's bigger than ourselves. And when we are, we come from that place, we're like magnets.
And it just,
the level of people that I've attracted in my life, I absolutely believe is the result of coming from a place of service and inviting people to give them an easy way to be a part of something that truly transforms lives for generations.
And Cynthia, that's part of the driver for me and for the show was I come from a similar background. I had done everything correctly with respect to career and the checkpoint, and I was coming from corporate finance and this corporate life, and there was just this drive in me to try and do something that's going to be bigger, that's going to impact more people. And one of my skills is communications, and so when I looked at my life, I thought, no, I really want to do this on a mass media scale, and I'm going to carve out a way to start doing it. And the show is one of those avenues. But
yes, exactly, it's perfect.
And it is. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to couple it with this ideal that, again, you can do this, you can be impactful in your 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, because we really are living longer, and we really are so capable in those years because of everything we've gone through in the early years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, oh my God, are you kidding? It's like, those are typically the years. We're now seeing millennials that are starting to get involved in giving at younger levels and younger ages.
Which is great, sure.
But there's no better way, as 40s and 50s, oh my gosh, when I think about my life and how my life has changed as I've gotten into things that were meaningful and bigger than myself. There's this great book by Dr. Stephen Post called Why Good Things Happen to Good People. Okay. And we've all, kind of explored the giving benefits from, spiritual teachers and philosophers and scriptures, been talking about this forever. Mm-hmm. Well, now there's scientific research. And basically what he found, he authored 50 studies in 44 universities. And overwhelmingly, giving is the most potent force on the planet. Number one, it's like it helps your health, your well-being. It's like if you want to do give your child a gift, get them involved in giving. This year for the holidays, I was telling my husband, we have grandchildren, it's like, I can't give them a toy. They don't need another toy.
So what do you give them?
So, what we're doing is we want it, because we don't live in the same state. If we lived here, I would take them somewhere locally and volunteer. We've given goats for their birthdays for, children in our communities and through other places around the world. But what I want them to do is, we're going to Kenya the day after Christmas, so I'm going to have them, write notes and like who they are and introducing themselves and, maybe making a little bracelet or something that helps them get their minds off of themselves and out of this entitlement. It's like all of the stuff that we give children that they don't need and I'm not against giving kids gifts, but it's out of control. And so it's like, how can you maybe take your child and have them volunteer or give, gifts away to other families in need for Christmas or Hanukkah or the New Year, or volunteer at a soup kitchen. I did that a lot with my son. It's like, please, over the holidays, use it as a way to give back, not only for yourself, but your family. It's the most meaningful thing you can do.
Did you ever reach a point, Cynthia, when you were looking at all this and thought, back to what you were saying a little bit earlier, I'm just one person. You went to Kenya, you met these women, and you came back and you were inspired. Did you find it difficult? Did you have to talk yourself into it, or did it just come organically?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, in the beginning, of course, there was that part of me that said, who are you? What can you do? Yeah. This is too big, and people a lot smarter than you tried to solve this. No, absolutely. But I had this purpose. Again, it's like really that purpose is bigger than the lack of belief. It's like this purpose, this inspiration that has driven me. And so I think as I just continue to step up, and now I've built a multi-million-dollar foundation where we're really doing great good in the world. And I'm always up against my own paradigm of capability or, am I a good enough leader? Like, I have all of that all the time.
So that's normal. That's normal. Okay, good.
Yes, it's normal. And I know it's not true. I'm making it up, right? It's just my own part that wants to protect myself. Okay. But it's like, okay, thank you for sharing. And then I just continue to move forward and I want to be a vessel of God to, do good in the world and to bring love. I love, one thing Bob said was, money is God in action. And that's how I see money.
Explain that a little
God
bit.
in action.
Can you explain that a little bit, Cynthia?
Well, yeah, it's like, wow, we use money. We use the energy of money to love and to make a difference in the world. Look at the people who donate money to my foundation. It's like, God, it's love and action. It's the ability to transform people, their external and their internal circumstance.
And I think what you do with education and what you've managed to do with your foundation, because you're now educating 10,000 children and
That's
more.
Right. Daily.
So this is, this is a ton of kids that wouldn't have had this opportunity. So you're taking that money and you're redirecting it in a way that really is going to impact not only these kids, but our future generations. I mean, for anyone that doesn't think this is important, it is beyond powerful what Cynthia and her team is managing to do.
Well, and thank you. And, uneducated children around the world impact all of us. When there are nations that deny this basic human right to children, it breeds terrorism. All you have to do is pick up the newspaper. It's not complicated. Right. A lack of knowledge and education creates global pandemics and the destruction of the planet. I mean, seriously.
All of that, health issues, all of it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So global education is something that really impacts, or global poverty really does impact me. We have a global society, and it's a joy to be a part of the solution. You asked me if I ever felt overwhelmed, and I used to feel, oh my gosh, it's like a drop in the bucket. But now I'm inspired because I really see the result. And of course, there's still so much more need in the world. But I see it more from, oh gosh, look at the ripple effect that we're creating, and we're doing our part. And if everybody does a little bit, it's interesting, Katerina, because they estimate it would cost about $15 billion to educate every child on the planet for 1 year. Well, it sounds like a lot of money, but we spent twice that last year on ice cream in North America alone.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! When you said 15 billion, I thought, okay, that sounds like a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, we spent 3 times that feeding our dogs and cats, and we spent 4 times that, $60 billion, trying to lose weight.
Wow.
So there you have it.
So
the money is there.
This can be done. Exactly. This can be done.
The
Come
money
on.
is there.
Just don't eat, cut your ice cream consumption in half, and we're halfway there.
Yeah,
Come
either
on.
cut it or just put a little more into something else. It's like a Starbucks,
and it's funny that you say Starbucks, Cynthia, because I was having this conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and she said, well, I'm tight for cash, and we were talking about holiday giving. And I said to her, you're not tight for cash. I said, when you're spending $5 a day buying a double cream latte extra hot with an extra shot of espresso, I said, just cut that out. And there's $5 a day. Do you know how much you can do with $5 a day?
It's true. And you know what? When you're tight for cash, maybe you're holding on to it. It's like the law of giving and receiving. What happens is giving activates the law of receiving. It's not the opposite. So what I would say, if you're tight for cash, look at how you're giving. How are you contributing? How are you being generous? And don't be generous because you know that you're going to be receiving. It's like looking for ways that you can circulate that money and make a difference. What inspires you? And notice how it comes back. But it's activated through giving. Right. So it's not the opposite. Most people think I don't have enough. If I give to you, I won't have enough for me. Yeah. And it's the opposite.
Now, Cynthia, speaking of giving, you have the Unstoppable Foundation has been around now for 8 or 9 years. How long has it been?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, 9 years this year.
And you have an annual gala, which is a fundraiser that you do in Los Angeles. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I do. So, yes, you can go to unstoppablegala.org. And basically, we have a big event every year. It started as my birthday. Remember, I did that birthday party. And now it's turned into this big, huge event. It's at the Beverly Hilton. It's March 25th, 2017.
Coming up in March, okay.
Right, and Jack Canfield calls it the Oscars of the transformational and personal development industry. So, everybody's there. Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, Reverend Michael Beckwith, Jack Canfield, the list goes on and on. And it's fun, it's inspiring. Nellie Furtado is going to be there this year. The tenors are performing. Right. We have, students from our schools. It's like, it is an uplifting, inspiring opportunity and a way for people to easily make a difference.
Right. I was lucky enough to attend last year's gala, and I can tell anyone that's local to the Los Angeles area, or even if you're not and you'd like to attend, it is well worth it. They put on such a lovely show, and all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, go towards helping to build these villages. So, Cynthia, I'm looking really forward to being there at this year's gala as well. Yes.
Maybe you could put a table together, have some of your listeners and community sit together and kind of come together as a force for good.
There we go. I love that. Cynthia, we just have a couple more minutes before our next caller is going to call in. Do you have some advice for people that are looking at ways to add value? What would you tell them?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I would say look for ways you can give. I started years ago. I did this thing, a year of giving. Okay. And every year, what I did, or every day, I would start first, how can I give to myself personally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? So that was the first thing, feeding myself, my body,
your mind, your
my
soul.
Spirit.
Sure.
So you start giving yourself. And then I look for how can I give, what is one way that I can give, add value, call it whatever you want, every single day. And sometimes it could be as simple as letting somebody get in front of you in the line at the grocery store, or letting them, somebody pull out in front of you, or...
And what I find sometimes is just saying a kind word to someone. A lot of the people that we overlook is the person, at the register, at the checkout counter at the supermarket. And just being kind to them for 2 minutes.
Like when you have that come from of looking every single day, how can I give value? Right. Who needs my support? And not from a place of depletion, but really of divine inspiration. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, your life will be changed.
Well, we are looking at helping motivate people to change their lives in a better way. Cynthia, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us. I would love to invite you back at some point next year. We're going to be having a bit of a forum, and I know you'd be fabulous for it. So I will stay in touch with you on that. For now, Merry Christmas. The UnstoppableFoundation.org for anyone wanting to learn more about how you can contribute to Cynthia and her cause, the unstoppablefoundation.org. Cynthia, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Katerina. Appreciate you very much.
Cheers. Take care and thank you.
All right, blessings.
Bye-bye. So such a fabulous cause and a great story. I mean, my favorite part of that is this was her 50th birthday party, and she raised $80,000 by just asking her friends to donate a little bit of money at the door. I mean, you can start with something that small, and she has grown this into an international multi-million-dollar foundation, as she mentioned, that is really geared at educating children and providing a foundation of, the pillars of a foundation of a village, so that the girls that used to have to go to get the water don't have to go do that anymore. People can be and do what they want to do in a way that really impacts the world. Speaking of impacting the world, our next guest is on the phone now. Hi, and welcome to LA Talk Radio. It's Katerina speaking.
Yeah, this is IBK Spaceshipboi.
Hi, IBK Spaceshipboi. First off, thank you for taking the time to dial into our program. And you called at exactly the perfect time. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Lagos, Nigeria.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. Thank you for. Thank you. What time is it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. It's currently 8:29 p.m.
Okay,
so
it's not too. At least it's not midnight. So you're doing okay.
no. Regardless, though, even if it was 2 a.m., man, I wouldn't want to miss it for anything. This opportunity. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What we were talking about today, and today's show is all about adding value to the world. And one of the reasons I was excited to have you on the program is because you're a music producer. I'm going to get you to tell us a little bit about your background, but you are doing something so very cool with your WorldRadio project. So I want to make sure the people in Los Angeles, anyone in the music business and the entertainment business, gets to know what you're about, because you're doing a great job. So first of all,
thank you so much.
tell us a little bit about your background, your history, and your musicness.
Okay, I'm a music producer. I go by the name IBK Spaceshipboi.
Now that's not your real name, right?
So what? Sorry, I didn't get you. I didn't hear you.
I said you have to tell me a little bit about how that name came to be, first of all, before we get any further.
Okay. Okay, so first, IBK is kind of like the short form for my real name, which is Ibukun.
Okay.
And Ibukun is a Yoruba name that means blessing. Right? And I believe that's why I'm in the world, to be a blessing to humanity, And my last name, my maiden last name, which is Emuawo, means unpredictable. So when you combine both of them, it's like unpredictable blessing.
Woohoo!
You can't really. Yeah, exactly.
You were born to do something valuable with your life.
Oh, yeah. But, the Spaceshipboi kind of came about because of the kind of music I created in my earlier years, starting off as a music producer.
Okay.
It was what you would call left, not your basic pop or hip-hop. It was kind of like a fusion of different stuff. And it was kind of, it was considered weird down where I was then, in Nigeria, here in Lagos. So I just got the name Spaceshipboi off of that, the way I made music. So, that's IBK Spaceshipboi for you.
Okay, and so...
And then, and then a friend of mine acronymized IBK to mean information bringing knowledge, which I kind of liked. So, I just kept it,
Perfect. And so you started creating music, but talk to me a little bit about how that came to be in terms of adding value to the world within your international music efforts.
Okay, first of all, I had always known that I was here for a purpose, like me being brought into this world, being created by God is for a reason, right? So I just took that reason from my name, which is Ibukun, which means blessing. And I just, I've been driven to always inspire people, so I'm the kind of individual when a friend comes to me and he or she is talking about a business project they want to begin, I'm so interested. I want to see how I can help, how, I'm just like, wow, let's make this happen, So that's how I've always been. And if you don't mind me taking you back to my formidable years, like when I was 11 years old, I made my first 1,000 naira.
You did what? Sorry? Can you repeat that one more time?
When I was 11 years old, I made my first 1,000 naira
Okay.
off of drawing pictures back then. So I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've always wanted to inspire people.
That's
so
that's the local
music
currency
for me,
in Nigeria, right? So you were making money at the age of 11. I like that.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, after school, the university, I just hopped into the studio. That was 2009.
Okay.
And sleeping on the studio floor, creating music, spending long hours watching, the greats that have done it, learning and, developing my craft.
Who are some of your heroes, your
yeah.
musical heroes?
Sorry?
Who are some of your musical heroes?
Oh, first one would be Michael Jackson.
That one goes
Yeah,
without
Michael
saying, I
Jackson.
think. That one's a great one, absolutely.
Yeah, on top of everybody's head, like Michael. Yeah, but Michael Jackson, definitely Kirk Franklin, because he brought something new into the gospel music scene. Like,
you've been
I just
awarded-
love people that do stuff that's fresh.
Sure, you won Best Artist of the Year, Best Hip Hop Artist as well, at the Nigerian Gospel Music Awards. So congratulations on that. Fantastic.
Thank you. That was 2013.
Right. Yeah.
And 2014 as well.
And you
So,
were
yeah,
also selected to be a fellow with the One Beat Musical Exchange, which is put on by the U.S. State Department of State.
Yep.
And really talks about bringing together musicians from around the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
and it
good
was
for
a
you.
great opportunity for me to represent Nigeria in that fellowship, and it kind of like gave birth to everything I'm about to tell you now about the World Radio by Spaceshipboi project. Because during that program, different musicians from all around the world came together, from Russia, Indonesia, and we came to create music, learn about our cultures and everything and all. And then after that project, I came back home, and I was just having this conversation.
Okay.
And in the conversation, I was like, when Colombia comes, like, what do you think about when Colombia comes to mind? And 80% of the people were like drugs and the drug cartel, and some 10% were like gangs, and just about another 10 were like coffee. So when I heard that, like the vast majority were, saw Colombia as a country that was just
negative
drugs
and right.
Yeah,
and a
I
little
was
bit
like,
dangerous.
it just took me back to the 3 Colombian fellows that I saw during that program in One Beat, and I was like, these guys didn't exude any, negative vibe. They looked like great people, family people. I enjoyed their conversations.
They
the
had
stories
dreams.
they told me
They
about
have
their country.
inspirations. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it made me want to head out to their country and show my people that, hey, you think Colombia is about drugs alone? Nah, but this is what I saw in Colombia. It's a beautiful place, great energy.
Sure.
So I headed out to Colombia to create music with the local musicians there, as well as my friends from the One Beat program. And then we made a video, and then, we put it out.
Right.
So for me, this project, the World Radio by Spaceshipboi project, is kind of like a project where I'm giving each country an opportunity to reintroduce themselves to the world.
Wow,
basically.
through their music.
Yes, through their music. So I'm traveling to I intend to travel to all 196 countries in the world, working with local musicians in those countries.
Wow.
Creating music in genres that are peculiar to those areas and in their languages, making music videos that show the beauty of those places and putting it out to the world. Because up until 2015, when I met those the Russian representatives in that program, I always thought Russia was snow from January to December.
Right.
Because every movie I saw,
it's always winter in Russia.
In Russia,
Right.
They always had coats on. The soldiers always had this head.
And the
I'm
puffy
telling you,
hats,
yeah.
right? The
But
puffy
then
hats.
when the ladies were like, "Oh, last summer we came out with shorts," I was like, "Hold up, you guys have summer in Russia?" So it's all these stereotypes.
We have so many
to-
stereotypes around us. What are some of the stereotypes that you get being a Nigerian? I'm sure you get hit up with a few of those.
Oh, we have, yeah, definitely. First off, most people think all Nigerians or most Nigerians are dubious, or even just the whole concept of Africa. First off,
Right.
when you talk about Africa and other parts of the world, I think we live in trees. It's poverty-stricken, no clean water, no.
Well,
yes,
and
all
I
these
just
things
and
are true.
to that point, I want to point out to some of our audience. Nigeria is one of the most populated countries in the world. It's 170 million people that live in Nigeria. So not all of those people are living in trees, you know. Absolutely not.
Definitely, man. Definitely, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
And so with WorldRadio, I think it's great because part of the value that you're adding to the world is to help, as you said, knock down these negative stereotypes that we might have from, you know, people that come from some of these developing countries.
Yes, that not even just developing countries, even all countries in general.
Well, like Russia, like you said,
when you talk about exactly, like when you when America comes to mind, most of the time down here, people immediately go racism.
Huh.
You know, and yeah, true, and you wouldn't really blame them because that is what the media kind of like propagates in mass quantity. You know, so it's just the fact that this negative news, which the media sees as good news, is really bringing about this imagery in the minds of people as the norm, as what is, as opposed to the fact that there's beauty all over the world and the beauty is less talked about.
Yes.
Because I believe that this world is governed by several laws, and we have the law of attraction, and that says what you focus on is what your reality becomes, you know, whether good or bad. So I rather put out the good imagery of a place than the negative imagery.
And that is
because when you see more good, you produce more good. That's how I see it.
And you receive more good.
That's how it's been working for me.
Right,
yeah.
and that's very similar to the message that our last guest, I was just chatting with Cynthia Kersey, and she runs a foundation, and she was just saying the same thing, that, you know, it's very much...
I listened in to your conversation.
Oh, great, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, because there's some value to that, you know, to that messaging, that really what we put out there can come back, and if we all start putting out something of value, how much better a place would all of this be? It sounds cliche, but it's not, people. It's not.
True say. And let me tell you something. As regards even the law of attraction, right? Yeah. Whilst you guys were talking, and she said Bob Proctor, I was like, oh, wow. Oh, because just last week, I have been listening to most of his speeches on YouTube. And here I am listening again
and
into
she
your
mentions
show,
his name.
And someone is talking about the same guy that I've been listening to, but to all week long.
Wow.
So it's like I'm just attracting
more
people
of
in that circle,
right?
And you know. And
absolutely.
Whilst I was like, when I come on your show, I will tell you, I definitely want to be in her circle.
Right.
You know, I definitely want to.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Cynthia. If you know, with WorldRadio, which I think is a fantastic initiative, are how did you get over that? Is there fear involved? I mean, you said you want to travel to all 190 countries. That has to sound and be daunting at times. How do you finance something like that? How do you as one little person go about doing this?
Yeah, so currently, I started with my own funds. I was, since I'm a music producer, I make music for commercials, for movies, for other artists. So I was able to put my own funds together, and it cost me about $6,000 to do the music I went out to Colombia to do. So travel, making the music, making the video, mixing and mastering and everything was $6,000. So creating that first project for me is kind of like, okay, this is what I've done. And then I was able to now put a proposal together, and I'm now sending it to people that I feel are going to be interested in what I'm about to do. Right, so they can sponsor this project.
Yes, and I think
so I'm still in the process of finding sponsors to make this happen.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, and that's why I think it's great that that you were able to join us on the show today. If we can do anything here, as I mentioned, to help find some sponsorship for your project, I would love to help you do that, because again, I have had I've really been lucky. I've had the benefit of traveling quite a bit in my life, and I've been to a number of different countries, everything from Morocco to China to Russia to Chile to I've been everywhere, and what I've come to understand is that if you don't venture outside your little bubble, you do tend to have a stereotype. that you place on other countries. And that is largely, as you said earlier, driven by the media and the messages that it puts on us in different parts of the world. But at the end of the day, everywhere I go, I find kind people, I find driven people, I find people that are really just looking at ways to get through life with a smile on their face. And I think that is something that that transcends, geographical boundaries.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like every part of the world, there is beauty.
There really is.
And it's our duty as entertainers, as people that are, in front of the camera, movie directors, to show that beauty to the world.
Right.
And that's what I hope this project inspires. Inspires other artists to also go out, because for me, it's not just about me doing it. It's about stirring up this spirit of, of hope, of love.
And inclusivity.
Because I believe...
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe that the only thing that can cure all the craziness going on in our world is love. Like unconditional love.
If somebody wants to support you, where can they find you? How can they contribute to your World Radio vision?
Okay, so you could go on my website, which is IBKSpaceshipboi.com.
Okay.
And that's IBKSpaceshipBoi.com.
BOI.com. Now, I'm hoping Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. On my website, when you get into the website, you see projects. You click on the project, you see everything about the World Radio project, and there is a button at the bottom there that you click it. It takes you to the page where you can give and you can contribute to, this project.
Sure. So you've been to Colombia.
And you can also find me on social media at Spaceship Boy. That's on Instagram and on Twitter.
Perfect. And I'm going to repeat that again for the listeners that may not have caught it, because through the radio it could be a little bit tough, or through the phone. It's IBKSpaceshipBoi.com. And I believe, I can't see it right now, but I believe our producers have that above me here on the screen. If they do, IBKSpaceshipBoi.com. You've done the Colombia piece. Where are you heading to next?
I am coming over to your part of the world, the United States.
Okay. Fabulous.
In January. Yeah, I'm coming out in January to create music with some local artists in Minnesota and Philadelphia. And hopefully I intend to be in LA too, to make, get scenes from LA and other parts of the country. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if you're in LA, please do reach out to me. I'd love to meet you for a cup of coffee and just see if I can be of any service to you. I am going to say thank you so much for dialing in and really for having a larger vision. It's like Bob Proctor says, it's what you put out there, and the power of the mind and the power of intention is so powerful. It really can be, and especially in this time right now where we're seeing wars in Syria and we're seeing some of the distress coming out of places like Yemen. We have these images of those people, but there is so much talent that could be cultivated and generated if we could move away from the tragedy that is their lives right now, that I think could benefit all of us. And so we have to work together. Absolutely, we do.
Definitely. Like I was prior to getting on the call, I was actually thinking about what was going on in Syria, and with respect to how the people in the news are actually reporting the things going on in Syria. And I was like, yes, there's craziness happening in Syria right now. The war is crazy. Sure. It's really tragic. I feel pain. I feel the pain down here. But at the same time, I was like, if people in the media could just show a little bit of hope, even in all this tragedy, even in all this craziness, like a photograph of it could be a rubble, it could be a destroyed building, but then there is still something that is standing just to give people hope. Maybe it could be a little leaf sprouting out or something, because we all need that hope. We all need this positivity in our world, that energy of positivity for us to move forward.
We really do.
And not to be beaten down, So I really, my heart goes out to every part of the world that is some sort of craziness happening right now. I'm just praying currently for everybody in the world, and I'm just speaking out love, hope, peace, unity, oneness. Because, like Cynthia said, she was saying something about ignorance being the cause of everything that is going on right now. Like even with racism or with wars, ignorance is simply lack of understanding. Yeah. And when people do not understand something, there is fear.
Right.
And we act inhumane because of that
the fear, right?
With the intent to keep ourselves safe.
Right, right.
But if you know about me, you know why I am this way, you know why I act a certain way,
then you're not fearful. It minimizes
then you're
that.
not threatened by it
Yeah.
anymore because you know the reason behind it.
Right.
But the thing is, people do not even want to take time to find out the reason. They rather listen to hearsay based on whoever is trying to stir up a conspiracy rather than getting to know. And that is what I hope my project will bring about, is the knowledge of these different places, of these different people, of their music, of their culture, of everything that is good about them in this world. So that's what I intend to put out through music.
We are going to keep an eye on you, IBK. Thank you so much. WorldRadio, for anyone interested, we're going to be sharing more of that in the new year. For now, thank you so much for taking the time to call in, and all the very best with this project.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful evening. Cheers, and keep doing what you're doing.
You too.
Okay.
Definitely you will. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And so there you have it, folks. There are, you can see that there are people out there that are motivated to inspire and to lift and to do positive things, and you can absolutely do that into your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and really at any age, because IBK is actually younger than that, but he is looking to do things that will make the world a better place. And I know I feel cliche in saying that, but it's important. So on that note, I'm going to leave you. I am heading away from Los Angeles in this studio this weekend, and I'm going to be away for the next 3 weeks. So we won't be having the video component of our show. We will be, however, continuing on audio. So you can listen in on Channel 1, same time, 11 o'clock, here on latalkradio.com. LA40, I'm your host, Katerina Cozias. Thank you for tuning in today on how we can add some value to the world. I know for me, I'm going to keep doing some thinking on that. I'm going to bid you adieu for now, and thank you again. We'll see you next time. Let's click off. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.